huge.
He's about big as you are.
Well, I tell you what, he can pull me around, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And if I was any smaller, if I was small like David or small like Jason, he probably would pull me around. Because Jason, whenever Jason never did get over 130 pounds, did he?
What?
Did Jason ever get over 130 pounds?
Well, yeah, he got up to around 140. 50.
That was his top weight, though, right?
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
You know how heavy David was whenever he died?
Well, he lost a lot of weight before he died.
90-something pounds.
He lost lots of weight.
I imagine Jason did too, don't you? How much weight did he lose? Was he in his 90s?
Say what?
What did he basically get in his 90s?
Pump that up on top of the top, and then won't be big. If you lay it up on the top,
Okay,
it won't
okay.
be dangling.
Where it won't be dangling and jingling? Stay, Jack, stay. Stay, Jack. I ain't going nowhere. Every time I get up, he thinks I'm gonna feed him a hamburger.
Just lay it up here on top of that thing.
Every time I get up, he thinks I'm gonna feed him a hamburger. I got you. You know what they're good for, right?
Huh?
You know what they're good for, right? You know what they're good for, correct?
What are they good for?
Running.
Make noises.
Well, yeah, running. They're good for. They're good for running off moles.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard that?
No.
They're good for running off moles. You got mole problem around here?
Yeah, we used to have a lot of those.
Well, how'd you get rid of them?
I shoot them. I've been shooting with 22 rifles. I see it working. I said, bam, got them.
And that gets them.
I killed them. Yeah, I know what to get rid of them. Kill them. Here's going on here, dang you.
Well, it's kind of windy outside.
It's terrible when it's 30 or 40 mile an hour wind.
It's breezy, isn't it? Wouldn't be a good day to be out on the lake, would it?
Good take me out on it. Get blown off.
Boy, I bet you had a river out there. It's probably white capping.
No, we couldn't do much out on the lake today.
I got my fishing license and I got my pole and stuff. I was going to put my hook in the water. I just don't know where. Where do you think it'd be a good? I mean, are the catfish hitting you at the rocks?
There's not water. There's fish.
Well, you don't know that, Uncle Bill.
See what?
You don't know that.
Yeah, it does. There's fish in all water. Some
When's
kind of fish.
when's your birthday coming up?
June the 12th.
June the 12th. And you will be how young again?
I'll be 75.
Lightning going to strike, and it strikes usually twice. Don't let it hit you.
I'll be 92.
What year was you born?
33.
33. Okay. I guess you're right. Well, you've been 92 now for the past 4 or 5 years. Every time I come out here, you're in your 90s. Huh?
I'm 91 now.
But I'm just saying, I thought that you was 92, 93. I thought you was fixing to be 100 before long.
No, I'm not going to live that long.
You don't think so?
No. That's 7, 8 more years. A lot of stuff can happen in 7, 8 more years.
Well, let me ask you a question since I'm here talking to you. What's your opinion now about Donald Trump after him being president in there for 90
He's
days?
president. He knows what's going on.
Is that your opinion?
Sure. He's a businessman. He knows how to get stuff done. He knows how to run a business, and he knows how to do it.
By going in and just taking a chainsaw and laying off 4 or 5, maybe 7,000 people?
Yeah, that's what he done. As government people wasn't doing nothing. Everybody fussed about him doing that, but what about old Biden shut that pipeline down, shut all them people out of work when he got in there?
Well, how about us giving billions of dollars to all these different countries for stupid reasons?
Well, that's what the Democrats done. Trump don't do that.
I'm talking about for stupid reasons.
Yeah, stupid reason. They give it to them, then the countries turn around and send it back to them Democrats.
Well, that's another thing they was talking about this morning. I didn't catch all of it. I think it was on Face the Nation where they was talking about the money that we was giving over there, like to.
Oh, shit. I think I turned my oven on.
Well, turn it off. Turn it off. Don't forget. You don't want to fire.
Good now.
Turn it off. Turn it off, Bill.
Ah,
Take your time. That's my uncle. That's Uncle Bill. He likes to go on and just rattle and rattle and rattle. He carries on. He's my mother's brother. He's, I guess he's the last of the Mohegans. Did you have it on?
no, I turned it off.
Okay.
I couldn't remember.
I was just telling Jack here who you are, and I was telling him that you're the last of the Mohegans.
I'm the first of the Mohegans.
No.
The last is done gone. I'm back with the first now.
Anyways, getting back to President Bill Clinton.
Bill Clinton,
I mean,
Trump.
well, Bill Clinton was on TV yesterday
Oh, Bill
pertaining
Clinton.
to that 30-year deal that happened down there in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. What do you think about that?
Bill Clinton wasn't nothing but a thief.
Bill Clinton could sell you a rotten watermelon and tell you and convince you that it tastes good before you ever got it home, and you'd believe it.
No,
You would believe it.
You couldn't do me that way. No. He's Slick Willie. Call him Slick Willie.
He was pretty good at it, wasn't he?
He's pretty good Slick Willie. Yeah, he's a car dealer.
I didn't know that.
He sold cars.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he sold cars before he got to be a governor.
Where's he originally from? Do you know?
Arkansas, ain't he?
Nope.
Yeah, he's governor of Arkansas.
Oh yeah, he was the governor of Arkansas. That's correct.
Yeah.
But that's not where his heritage come from. His heritage come from down there at Mississippi.
I don't know where his heritage come. They can take him back.
Well, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he changed his name somewhere long about whenever he was just fixing to become a young man.
Yeah.
They claim that he was a draft dodger. You believe that?
Yeah. He probably was.
A draft dodger?
Yeah. He's Slick Willie.
What do you think of Hillary? Did you? I mean, you
Hillary?
Yeah.
She's a liar and a thief.
Well, basically, all them people will come out of the hippie era, Woodstock era, and they all cut their hair. They put on some nice clothes rather than wearing them big blue jeans, and they went up there towards running the White House, Uncle Bill.
Yep, they got voted in up there. At least it might have been crooked. Voting's been crooked for several years.
Well, it's hard to vote somebody off the island whenever they're the ones that own it.
Well, they didn't own this country.
Well, they act like
They
they're
tried to own it.
they act like that they're not accountable to the people. And isn't this government or isn't this country supposed to belong to the people? We the people?
Right. That's what Trump's giving it back to us. The Democrats has took our rights away from us.
Democrats has lost their minds. They've lost their minds.
Well,
It's not no longer the same Democrat Party what it was whenever my daddy was growing up.
well, no. The Democrats, for years they were supposed to be for the poor people. That was a good saying. But they wasn't.
And didn't they always accuse the Republicans of being warmongers? Huh? Ain't that right? They was warmongers?
The Democrats always used the black people, and black people didn't have enough sense to know it.
You think so?
Well, I know they did. Now the black people's kind of wised up to them, and they're not voting for them no more.
Well, who's going to be in charge of this country?
What do you mean who's in
Well, I
charge?
mean, you look at it, I mean, the European man come over here and they took it from the Indians. Then the European man wound up taking it from the black man. and back to the white man. Now it belongs so to the white man, but is it one day going to go back to the black man or going to go back to the red man?
I don't know who it's going to go to. Right now, it's in Trump's control.
And you like that?
Yes, sir. He knows what's going on. He knows how to get it done. He's thinking about sending you a $5,000 check. He done saved over $100 billion in moments, waste of money.
Good grief, Uncle
And
Bill.
he decided he might send each taxpayer $5,000.
Well, it is kind of disgraceful whenever this country's supposed to be as big as what it is, and an event happens like happened last year at East Tennessee and Western North Carolina, and we can't even take care of our own people, but we can give billions of dollars to every other country. That's kind of shameful, don't you think?
Donald Trump stopped that too. He don't give it to us. He says America comes first.
I don't agree with his ethics pertaining to him being a climate denier. He's 100% a climate denier. I don't know if he's doing that politically or if he's really convinced that the world isn't warming up. I mean, you don't have to be too smart of a person to realize that humanity is affecting this planet.
The world ain't warming up. We're still having cold weather.
We are, but not near like it used to be. We had more of a winter this winter right here in Northwest Tennessee than what we've had in the past 10.
The last two winters we had 0 and below 0.
Just for a split day or two. It ain't like that it got below 0 and stayed below 0 for weeks and weeks and months at a time.
Well, our climate has changed. We even have cold weather, and in this month here, we've had cold weather.
I know it's been colder this month than it was in the month of March.
When I was a kid, I went barefooted in March. It was hot. It was real warm in March.
When you was a kid, that's probably the only way that you could get around was barefoot. You probably didn't have no shoes, Uncle Bill.
I had shoes, but I had to pull them off when I come home from school, so wear them out.
You had work boots?
Go barefoot.
You had work boots?
No, I didn't have no boots. I had shoes. We didn't know what a boot was. Some people had some boots, but I didn't know what to look like.
What's the hardest thing that you've ever done in a field?
Hardest thing I've ever done in the field?
In a field.
I don't know.
Between picking cotton, going in behind a mule, plowing, or baling up hay, what's the hardest thing that you've ever done all day long?
Picking strawberries. You're crawling on your knees all day long picking strawberries.
Tommy Wade.
I wouldn't pick no Tommy Wade. Jim Ring had a strawberry patch, and we picked them. He had 2 or 3 strawberry patches.
And I bet it wasn't no strawberries like they are today, because the strawberries today, you can buy them, and if you don't put them immediately in the freezer, they'll go bad in 2 days on the counter. They'll go bad.
Yeah, well, we used to put them in crates and carry them down to the town there, to whatever patch heads or something there, and load them on them boxcars.
Well, was Tommy Wade even in town at that time?
Tommy Wade was there, but I don't think he dealt with no strawberries.
Who was his dad?
Huh?
Who was Tommy's dad?
Tommy Wade. It was Tommy Wade. He was named after his dad, Tommy Wade.
So you knew old man Tommy Wade?
I knew them both. Went to school with Tommy.
Young Tommy.
Young Tommy went to school with him. Tommy's got a sister, and I can't think of her name.
You think she's still living?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Well,
There's 2 of them, Tommy and that sister, and I can't think.
Well, they made a bang over there in Kenton, didn't they? As far as becoming wealthy off the people.
Yeah.
They made a bang.
You had the Soxes and Tommy Wade and
Sandersons.
who?
Sandersons.
The Tuckers had a lot of money back then.
Okay.
the Sanderses weren't around right then at that time.
Okay. How about Dr. Jack, the Jacks?
Dr. Jack, well, he was just a doctor, old Dr. Jack, and then you had Dr. Gray and then Dr. Jack.
So you knew both of them too?
Knew both of them.
You know, right there on the corner, parallel from where the city hall is now, right there on the corner, there used to be a gas station right there, and they also had a little restaurant there. Don't forget
Is
that.
that the red light?
Yeah, right there.
Warts run it.
Big old tall guy run it. Big old.
Warts run it. His name Warts. I can't call his first name. Warts. He run it. Because I sold rabbits to him. I used to trap rabbits and dress them and tear them down and get a dime for a rabbit.
Well, that drugstore's been down there forever, hasn't it?
The drugstore. It ain't a drugstore down there no more, is it?
I thought it was.
No, I don't think got a drugstore no more. Not in Kenton.
I thought it was a drugstore there.
There was the drugstore. I'm trying to think of who owned that. I can just see his name. Hand, face. But I can't call his name right now.
You know, you used to have a dentist there.
Bill Warts. Bill Warts' brother run that restaurant.
Okay.
You know the Warts is down there?
Never knew.
Still got one of the Warts still living in Kenton.
Do you ever know any of the Mayhalls?
Who?
Mayhalls.
Never know them.
Never knew no Mayhalls?
Uh-uh.
How about the Greens? The
I
Greens.
knew the Greens.
You did know the Greens.
Yeah. The Owens.
Owenses, yeah, Owenses. You knew them?
Yeah, Lefty Owens. I don't know what it is. JB, of course he died. He had a brother they called Lefty. He was in the army, and he come home on the furlough in that army, and then he got out of the army, and I don't never know what happened to him. He just disappeared. They called him Lefty. Lefty Owens. That was JB's brother.
There were some Turners down there too.
Turners was there. Yeah, I knew the Turners.
What was that guy's name that helped Billy Sanderson on them lawnmowers for years and years and years? Worked in behind the Sanderson's place
I
there.
didn't know him.
All right, how about Tillmans?
Tillman?
The Tillman.
I know Tillman's. Pete Tillman.
P.T. Tillman?
Yeah.
Pete Tillman?
Pete
They
Tillman.
made a big bang, didn't they?
Yeah. But of course he owned a Chevrolet place there for years, Tillman did.
Did you ever do any business with him?
Yeah, I used to buy parts from him.
Really?
Yeah.
Danny worked for him for a while. Remember Danny working in a body shop in behind Tillman's?
Yeah, I remember him working there.
Yeah, he worked there several years.
Yeah. Charles, I think he worked there.
Charles worked there too for a while. Sure did.
A little bit.
You remember the parts guy's name? The parts guy that used to work for PT? I think he died about a year or two ago.
I don't remember who was parts.
He was good. He sold all kinds of parts.
Used to be a guy worked for him kind of tongue-tied. What was his name?
Well, anyways, Kenton is about like all these other little towns. It ain't growing no more. All the factories, the buildings are still there, but there ain't nobody working in them hardly.
No, Kenton.
They was saying on the news that we've lost 90,000 factories, Uncle Bill. 90,000.
Kenton is a bedroom community now, like Dyer. They're all bedroom communities. There's no businesses in them, hardly nothing. There's just nothing there no more.
A bedroom community.
The Walmart.
A retirement center?
Walmart put them all out of business when they went in Walmart years ago.
Walmart killed a lot of businesses, didn't it?
Yeah, put people out of business.
But did you know that we've lost 90,000 factories?
What?
90,000 factories we've lost just within the past 30 years.
Oh, yeah. China. All of our stuff went to China. We still get stuff out of China.
We've been sold downstream, hadn't we, Uncle Bill?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, and Democrats sold us out.
We've been sold out, hadn't we?
Yeah, they sold us out.
How do we hold these people accountable?
You what?
How do we hold these people accountable?
You'd hold them accountable, they ain't gonna do nothing about it.
Can't we go in and liquidate their assets and get all the money out of their bank and basically put them out on the street? Can't we do them that way?
Yeah, you can, but they're pretty big now.
Well, you just got to have bigger attorneys. You just got to have bigger judges. You got to have a judge that's willing to stand up to them.
Judges are all crooked now.
You think they're all on the take, Uncle Bill?
Yep.
Like there was up in Chicago back 35, 50 years ago?
Yep.
You think they're all on the take now?
Yep. Well, the Democrats took over the country this last 4 years, and they ruined the country. Everything went out of sight. They didn't care. They let all them criminals come into the country.
Oh, that's awful. That's sickening.
Why would they want criminals coming into the country?
I have
so
no
stupid.
idea. To me, that would be treasonable. You know what? They ought to have a military tribunal court on Biden pertaining to letting all them criminals come over here the way that he did. He ought to be held accountable for that stuff.
And there's judges right now, Democrat judges standing up to them people right now.
Yes, sir.
They ought to be. If you think too much of them, they ought to box them all up and send them out back to Mexico. Judges and all.
Well, I think the turmoil about what you're talking about there has got to do with loading so many people up and taking them to another country, another jail in another country, and they didn't go through proper procedures. You know, everybody in America is supposed to have the right. You got the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. In other words, you got a right in America to go through a certain procedure.
That's one thing that's been taken away from us. We're getting our rights are slowly being taken away. Just like that shot. They demand you to take that shot or you lose your job, and that was not right. You got a right to.
Some of the military people lost their positions, lost their stars and stripes.
Well, yeah, that was wrong.
But I think Donald Trump allowed for them to come back in, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's allowed it back. And them people up there at January 6th, took them and put them in jail. He got them all pardoned out, too.
Every one of them, I guess.
Yeah, except for a woman. She said she didn't like Trump and she wasn't going to take the pardon. Let have her stay in jail and rot.
Well, who's going to feed her? Who's going to pay for staying in there?
Well, I guess if you
we will. The taxpayers will.
Whatever, a payer.
Taxpayers will. But I'm like you. A lot of these judges that defends people that they know good and well that they shouldn't be defending are letting people go that they shouldn't be letting them go. I think they ought to receive the same type of punishment, especially a prosecuting attorney. You remember back a few years ago, I guess it was 30 years ago now, there was a guy, his name was Cole. He wound up killing and raping a girl over at Greenfield. And they had court on him, and the juror found him guilty. But not only did the juror find him guilty, but he also admitted to the crime, right? He admitted that he done that. He admitted that he killed that little 12-year-old girl. Did you know that because he had a hotshot attorney, that sucker wound up living 20 years going through appeals court before the state of Tennessee finally put him down?
Yeah, I remember it.
Now, is that right? That ain't right, is it?
No.
Especially whenever you confess that you've done it, and there's all kind of evidence proving that you've done it. That ain't right. That ain't justice, Uncle Bill.
No.
That's abuse. That's abuse of our system, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what it costs to house a prisoner, you know? I think it's something like, if I'm not mistaken, last time I seen it was something right around $90,000 a year or something like $90,000 a year to house a federal prisoner. I don't know what it costs to house a state prisoner, but it costs a lot of money per person. You got to feed them. You got to provide air conditioning. You got to provide heat. You got to have a shower. You got to have a humane area for them to do their time in.
Well, I think we want to put them in a 100-acre field and fence it off and let them live in camp.
Well, see, once more, you got all these quack psychiatrists that said you can't do that. You can't do that. That's dishumane. Well, that's kind of like somebody. You see on the TV where that sheriff's son killed them 2 kids over in Florida. You see that on the news?
Yeah.
You watch and see if that cotton picker don't wind up getting the best attorney in town, and you wait and see if that cotton picker don't wind up basically walking it and not having to do hardly no time at all for that crime. Because, like I said, they get these attorneys in there and they get the same. Well, between an attorney and a doctor, they can basically take a human being and say, well, you can't do that to that person. That person peed in the bed whenever they was a child growing up. They got abused, and you can't do that to that person.
See, the criminals, they got rights. Me and you, we don't have rights. We're not a criminal.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Is that not crazy?
Yeah, they got rights.
And I'm not saying that not in all cases that some of that don't go along, because there are people that are really crazy. There are people that don't know daylight from dark. There are people that can't dress themselves, can't feed themselves. But very few. Very few, Uncle Bill. If you can feed yourself and you know the difference between night and day, and you know whether or not you're clothed or you're naked out here walking around in the public, you're not insane as far as I'm concerned.
No.
You're not crazy.
No. Well,
but they ought to have a tribunal court.
A lot of people that are crazy, but they don't know they're crazy.
Well, they're crazy like a fox.
Yeah,
They're crafty crazy.
they
They know how to.
They got about enough sense to get in out of the rain. That's about all the sense they've got now. People.
Well, don't you think that Biden needs to be held? I mean, they're wanting to hold Donald Trump contempt of court because of a federal judge, a whacked out federal judge that basically is trying to tell the president how to run the country. How can a federal judge have control over a president? The only person that has control over a president is our Congress, right?
The president's got control over the federal judge.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
He can fire him or replace him.
Yes. Yes. Matter of fact, he's the one usually that puts them in those positions, is he not? Whenever a president becomes president, it's up to him whether or not they're going to keep what they got, or they're going to get him out of there and put somebody else in there, right?
The president is the commander and the chief. If he wants to fire a judge, a federal judge, he can do it.
The only person that has control over the president is Congress.
Well, to a certain extent.
That's kind of like average old Joe can't get out here under some sort of a bench warrant or whatever and go and arrest a judge. The only person that is legally bounded in the state of Tennessee to arrest a judge is a person above a deputy. Constable of peace. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
They're the only person allowed to go arrest a judge. If they didn't have it set up that way, it'd be a free-for-all.
Yeah.
It would be an absolute free-for-all. But still, again, that don't mean that them judges should be able to get away with murder, does it?
No.
Or let somebody else get away with murder.
Well, it's who you know and what you know and what kind of money you got, what you can do and you can get.
Have you ever heard of Benjamin Dempsey? He was an attorney over in Huntington. He got barred from practicing law for a while because he done something he wasn't supposed to have done. Anyways, I hired that cotton picker to represent me in court pertaining to my bankruptcy because basically whenever Weakley County come after me, Martin, Tennessee, it costed me my marriage, it costed me my 5-acre mini farm, it costed me basically about $500,000. So I hired this guy. So because I'd done already had affairs with him, I went and hired him again whenever Martin tried to get me for falsifying files. Have you ever heard anybody being charged with falsifying files? if just off the top of your head, if somebody told you that they'd been charged with falsifying files, what would be the first thing that go into your mind?
I don't know what that is.
I'm just asking you, across the board, if somebody told you that they'd been arrested for falsifying files, what would be the first thing that you would think of?
I don't know. I never heard of it.
Well, does files not got something to do with paperwork?
I don't know.
Does files not got something to do with the Internal Revenue Service? That'd be the first thing that I'd think of. If somebody walked up to me and I didn't know nothing about the charge and they said, well, I've been charged with falsifying files. It's like, well, what'd you do? Did you cheat on your income tax? What'd you do? Well, according to the state of Tennessee, you know what falsifying files means? It means the same thing as having terrorist implications.
Man.
It means the same thing as somebody standing in a theater crying, fire, 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 creating a panic, and now everybody is running and they're running over one another. Or it means the same thing going into a school or a hospital and pulling down the fire alarm and there is no fire.
Yeah. Okay.
It's called falsifying files that has terrorist implications.
What are you getting?
What I'm getting at, Uncle Bill, is the state of Tennessee working through a corrupt judge in Weakley County amongst a bunch of corrupt police officers in Martin, Tennessee, tried to take me down in 2005. And of course, the attorney that I hired, I was thinking that he was acting in my best interest. And basically, he told me, he said, "Now, Dennis, if you'll just plead guilty to this charge, time served, you had no probation, and they won't never bring it up again." Well, I had no idea what I was pleading guilty to. I had no idea what that charge meant until later on. And now, because that happened in 2005, I had another incident happen in my life up in Kentucky in 2007 of a bunch of people that was trying to put me under the shadow of being a homegrown terrorist or implications of somebody having terrorist implications. And the next thing you know, in 2009, they done the same thing in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, trying to attach me to the Oklahoma bombing. That's whenever they put a bomb in the back of my truck and blowed my truck up, put me all over national TV.
Well, what are you doing in Oklahoma City?
It snowballed. It started out this big in Martin, Tennessee. Then it went this big. And then 2 years later, it got humongous.
Say, what was you doing in Oklahoma City to start with?
I was doing a journalist investigation on the Oklahoma bombing, and I was asking too many questions to too many people, and they got nervous about it.
Yeah, but was you living in Oklahoma City? Were you living there at the time?
I've lived in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma 3 different times.
What did you do for a living there?
Body work.
Okay.
I've traveled all over this country, and that's how I self-sustained myself, was on body work. I'd go from one dealership to another or one body shop to another.
Why was you changing jobs so much?
Because according to David, my brother, he said I was living like a fugitive. Do you know what a fugitive is?
Yeah, I know what a fugitive is. Yeah.
A fugitive is somebody running from the law, right?
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't necessarily running from the law, but what I was running from, that it didn't take me but about 5 or 6, 7 years to figure out that there ain't no way to run from it. I was trying to run from the computer, because every time I'd go somewhere, they'd find out about my background, and then they'd kick me to the curb.
Mm-hmm. In other words, you was working in a place and they find out about something, they tell you that they need you no more.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
Make your life miserable.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was being judgmental. The thing about me investigating the Oklahoma bombing, I hit the money on the money, pertaining to them not being truthful even to their own people by telling their people that it was more involved other than a rider truck filled full of cow manure that killed 168 people that day, Uncle Bill. Mm-hmm. There was more to all that, and they didn't, the investigators knew it, and they didn't reveal it to the public.
Well, you said they blowed up your truck.
Put a bomb in the back of my truck and blowed the windows out of the camper shell. Federal boys did. I don't know if it was FBI, U.S. Marshals, maybe been TBI. I don't know. I mean, tobacco, alcohol, ATF. I don't know who it was, but it was the federal guys. And put me all over TV. Put me over TV. Why would they put me on TV for, Uncle Bill? They was trying to what? They was trying to destroy or assassinate my character.
Well, I don't remember seeing you on no TV.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But where did that begin? It began in Martin, Tennessee. It began in the very same county that I was raised up in since 1967, when my parents decided to move from Chicago up around Antioch, Illinois, and come down to Tennessee. You remember when we was living in Antioch?
I remember you living in Illinois, and
You remember us living in Round Lake?
Round Lake. Yeah, I remember Round Lake.
You remember Round Lake? Okay, Antioch ain't but like maybe an hour away from Round Lake. We moved to Antioch over there in an old house that your brother, it gave him the willies every time he come and visit us. He said that was the creepiest old house he'd ever been in because it had a cellar in it. And come to find out, the old house, Al Capone used to reside in the old house.
How long did y'all live in the place up there?
In Antioch?
Well, yeah.
Antioch, we only lived there for probably about a year.
Yeah.
But in Round Lake, we lived in Round Lake several years.
Did your body work in Round Lake?
Yes.
You did.
And he also had a Jeep. You was back down south at that time, doing body work at Dyer Motors. But he had a Jeep. He made he'd make $500-$600 in one day plowing snow.
Who did?
Dad.
Well.
In a day. And that was 50 years ago.
He had something to plow snow with?
Yes, he had a Jeep, four-wheel drive Jeep.
Yeah.
Had a snowplow on it.
Well, that's a lot of money back then, $500-$600 a day.
Yes, sir.
Lots of money.
But he would do it. Not all the time. Most of the time, about $150-$200 a day.
Well, that's still a lot of money.
That's still a lot of money for back then.
Back in the 50s.
But if he hit it just right towards hitting a big old factory parking lot, yeah, they'd shell out the money to get that thing cleared out.
Yeah. Y'all lived up there about in the 50s, didn't you?
Late 50s and the 60s. See, there was kind of a.
Well, I come home in '59. Y'all were still up there in the 60s.
Well, what they done, they moved back and forth. Danny and Douglas was born down in the South. I think both of them over in Union City. But my younger brother and me was born up north. And they was shuffling back and forth a little bit during that time.
Yeah.
I don't know what was going on. I think it had something to do with your dad that had gotten sick that brought him back down to Tennessee
We brought him back home in
the
John's
first
station
time.
wagon.
Right.
My daddy had an old Ford car and the old heater on it wasn't working. We stopped at the service station, blowed the heater out. It was stopped up and the heater started working again. Oh, it was cold.
You talking like 20 below zero code.
It was cold. I don't know how cold it was.
Cold enough it'd freeze the gas lines on your vehicle if you had any moisture in the lines, wouldn't it?
Yeah, if you had any moisture, it'd freeze up, yeah. But we stopped at some service station, and me and Bobby disconnected that old heater. They let us come in there inside, and we stuck an air hose in that old heater and blowed it out, and that old heater put out some good heat then. That old Ford was I don't know what year it was, old 40s in the 40s or 30s Ford, I don't know what.
Like a Rambler or something?
No, it was an old Ford car, two-door Ford. It was a cream-looking car, an old Ford. But my daddy, he got bad sick up there.
Well, how long did he live after y'all brought him back down home?
I don't know, it wasn't long.
Really?
He didn't live very long.
He had cancer, didn't he?
Cancer, yeah. It went all over his body, brain, stomach, everywhere.
That's a miserable way to die, you know, Uncle Bill. That's a miserable way to die.
He had a little spot on his temple, right, very little, there for years and years. And he had that taken off, and he lived about 1 year after he had that taken off. When he taken that off, it spread and went all over his body.
Lord. He'd have been better off just to have left it alone then, wouldn't he?
Yeah. But he thought he'd get it taken off. Of course, back in the 50s, they didn't know what kind of cancer it was. You know, cancer, it was probably that melanoma cancer is what it was. Melanoma. 'Cause
The kind that if you ever open up the skin,
there were sometimes when you
when the air hits it,
everywhere.
yeah, when the air hits it, it just goes crazy, don't it? Wow.
Yeah, we brought him home in that old station wagon that Bobby had. You remember our station wagon?
I do. I do.
Where was you at when we come home? You didn't come with us. It was Betty and Bobby and my baby.
No, I wasn't even thought of at that time.
Oh, you wasn't born?
No, I wasn't born until 61. Your daddy died in 56, didn't he? Or 54?
50 something.
55?
Somewhere in the 50s.
I wasn't even thought of. Danny was just barely born. Danny was barely born.
Yeah. We brought him home. And then,
See, that was shortly after Dad and your brother hooked up, went out to California for a while.
yeah, that just left.
I don't know what got into them towards wanting to do that, but they went out there and stayed, I guess, about 6, 8 months, something like that.
I don't know how long.
But they didn't like it, and they come back.
I was working at Trenton Motor Company when they left. I think no, it wasn't. I don't know where I was working at.
I think you was still up in Chicago.
I might have been.
What street was you on up there?
Well, I lived 2 or 3 different places up there. I lived on Washington Street, and I lived on, well, I can't think of that street, Wellington Street, and then another street, I can't think of what it was.
Was you up there pretty close to the Cubs Park? Where the Cubs play up there?
Yeah, I was pretty, that first place that I rented, I could hear them playing ball up there that night.
Oh, that's a lovely place, isn't it? Man, I can still remember the taste of them hot dogs and them pizzas and them Italian subs and some of the best eating in the world. You know, they claim that it's gotten really, really expensive to live up there now. Food is just, they said like what did they tell me? A loaf of bread, the cheapest loaf of bread that you can find on the streets of Chicago right now is a little over $5 for the cheapest.
Well, the river said the eggs up there were selling for $15 a dozen. Where the 5 or 6 dozen down here, you know, $5 or $6 for a dozen of them.
But can you imagine paying $5 for some of the cheapest bread that they got? At least we can, still buy bread for what? Right about $1.50 a loaf?
No, bread's $3 and something.
The cheap stuff?
Yeah. Bread done got bad high. Everything got high. Everything has got high, sky high.
Don't you wish you was a squirrel to be able to climb and go up there and do like that squirrel right there doing?
Said what?
That squirrel right there, he's an acrobat. He's an acrobat.
Oh, them little squirrels, they ran all over the place around here.
How about woody woodpeckers? You got any woody woodpeckers around here?
Used to have, but I ain't seen. Used to see a lot of them old red-headed black red-headed peckers. I ain't seen.
I didn't know that they get as big as a pigeon. Did you?
Huh?
They get as big as a pigeon. Did you
Oh,
know that?
Different kind of pecker would. They look like banty roosters.
How in the world do they get that big?
I don't know. They're different kind of breeds than that old red-headed pecker would.
How about the little birds, the hummingbirds? Have they come in yet?
Yeah, Betty used to feed them. That's what that was. Feeder.
That was a hummingbird feeder.
I don't fool with them.
They claim if you
you got one of them's a Rambo and he runs everybody else off.
But ain't it amazing how that they can just stand there and fly and never
They
bobble?
say they weigh less than a penny.
Less than a penny.
That's what they say. You know how they get. You know how they leave here and go south?
Yeah. They go all the way to South America, don't they?
No, I know, but you know how they travel?
In herds. In herds.
No.
They travel by getting up in the
No. they get on the geese's back.
Geese's back.
They bubble right on geese's back. They use so much energy flopping and playing, and that's why they have to drink pretty often.
Ah.
And their bill is holler. They don't have a bill at once. They're a little holler.
Well, they sure do like sweet stuff, don't they?
Yeah.
If you got sugar in that water, they'll come to it, won't they?
They load on them old geese and go south in wintertime. But some of them, they said some of the hummingbirds stay up here in the wintertime.
They migrate, though, back and forth.
Yeah.
They travel for thousands of miles.
Yeah.
Thousands of miles. I didn't know.
See, they can't travel that far. They get on the geese.
It's the first time I've ever heard anything about geese.
Yeah, they ride on them air gooses.
In other words, they're hitchhikers.
Yeah. They bum a ride.
Freelancers.
Yeah.
They're freelancers.
They are.
Looking for a free ride, ain't they?
Yeah. They save that energy. But they burn up a lot of energy.
Well, I'm like you. I think that somebody like Donald Trump needs to be in there towards trimming here, trimming there, looking at this, looking at that. But now, to go in there with a big hacksaw or a chainsaw, I kind of wonder about that, Uncle Bill, because, you know, you can lay off so many people that's in those positions, and the next thing you know, it leaves us vulnerable. It can leave us vulnerable.
That's what's wrong. Our government is too big. We need to get it down. We need to get rid of it.
Just basically waste.
It's wasting the taxpayers. People, we're taxed to death.
Yes, we are.
You can't spend your money unless there's any tax.
How much is tax in state Tennessee now?
What kind of state
tax? State sales tax is
10 cents.
Is it 10 cents now?
Yeah, up here.
I thought it was 9.7.
9.75.
I thought it was 9.7.
No. Eat it on food. Food is 7 something. But regular, that car right there, when that car is brand new and you pay sales tax on it, when you buy it brand new, well, you sell it and somebody else pay sales tax on that car again. They don't tell how many times that sales tax is sold on that
Every
car.
time the money exchanges hands, they get a cut of it?
It's taxed. The car is taxed every time it's sold, the tax. And it don't have to be. It ought to be taxed one time and that's it. My house taxes, they decide they want to raise it up, they just raise it. You got no say so about it.
Well, surely you ain't paying much out here. What, about $40 a year?
What, tax here?
Yeah.
Like $300-400 a year.
Oh, Uncle Bill.
Yeah, tax. We're talking about sales today. County taxes, property taxes, high.
That much?
Well, yeah, they just went up last year, $40.
For what?
Huh?
For the school? A project?
No, we're paying $20 extra for every license plate for school now. There ain't another tax popped on us. Every car plate sold is
Henry County's taxes. Henry County's taxes is almost as high as Memphis taxes.
We're taxed to death. You got income taxes. You got taxes.
What does it cost you to get your plate?
Huh?
Well, how much does it cost you to renew your plate every year? $67.
$79.
How much?
$79.
Well, that's $10 more than what they're charging us in Weakley County.
What are they charging you?
I think it's $67.
That was the school tax on it.
That
the
was
license plate went by $42.
Well, somebody's got to pay for all these road being worked on and stuff.
Yeah. But gasoline, that's where the tax on gasoline. It's about, what, 30-40 cents for a tax on a gallon of gas.
Well, how come Henry County's got cheaper gas than anybody else around? Because they don't charge as much on gas on their taxes. That's why.
It's always been cheaper.
Y'all are about 20 cents lower than y'all are the competing 7-8 counties around here.
When I moved up here in '99, gas down here at the station was 97 cents a gallon in '99. I moved up here. And then it started going, it went over $4 a gallon.
You know what, Uncle Bill?
2000.
That ain't right. With you being disabled or retired, you ought to be able to get on some sort of a program. Somebody hadn't told you about this or something. You ought to be able to get on some sort of a program up there at the courthouse, especially with this being a double wide. With this being a double wide, it depreciates. It don't appreciate. It don't go up in value. It goes down in value.
The only way you can get on anything, you can't have or own nothing.
It not if you're retired.
No, if you're retired, if you own anything, you can't get on nothing. If you join Social Security, if you join so much Social Security, you over the property level is about 25,000 a year, but they got it at 15,000. Well, $15,000 is not any money no more. You can't hardly buy a cup of coffee, for $2 or $3 now.
You'd
Drink it.
you'd be lucky if you got a cup of coffee for $4 by the time you get through leaving a tip and paying taxes. I mean, paying a tip. You'd be lucky for one cup of coffee. You'd be lucky if you got out of there without paying at least $4.
$4 for a cup of coffee. Well, I don't drink it. I ain't drank coffee in several years. I don't drink Coca-Colas. I don't drink nothing but water and milk.
Well, you're a weirdo. Not everybody's a weirdo like you are.
I drink tomato juice.
Aren't you also one of these people that don't eat meat? You're a vegetarian?
I don't eat meat, no.
You're a vegetarian?
Yeah, I don't eat meat.
See, not everybody's like you.
Well, I know they ain't.
You don't eat fish?
I eat some fish, not much.
Chicken?
No, I don't eat chicken. I'll eat it, but I'm not crazy about it.
You're not
But I eat
crazy?
eggs, the same thing.
But you don't eat no pork, you don't eat no beef?
No. Listen, beef and stuff, you don't know what they're putting in that stuff now. These old chickens, they pump in steroids, them old chickens, and 6 weeks after they're born, they're on the market and selling them.
Well, yeah, that's the reason why the young girls now has a rack on them at the age of 10, 11, 12 years old. It look like somebody that's 18 years old now. I mean, it's steroids. It's affected their hormones, and that's the reason why that they filling out quicker.
Well,
They got a mature looking body, but their brain ain't mature,
I'll tell
Uncle
you
Bill.
something else. When we was in Vanderbilt, when we had to go to Vanderbilt, they had that transplant up there. They told us the cancer, all the southern states down here, around here, were cancer belt states. You got to pass Illinois, you very seldom heard of cancer. But that's what they told us in Vanderbilt about cancer. They said all the southern states were cancer belt. Now why? They said when you got to pass Illinois, because they had cancer, but not like they do down in the south, southern states.
I don't know. Maybe it's because the environment's warmer.
I don't know.
Maybe it's because it allows for whatever's growing in our food or whatever we're drinking or whatever. I don't know.
Most of people said
There has to be a logical reason for it.
most of people says cancer survives on sweets.
Survive off sweets.
Right. So it'll grow on sweets. That's what it does. If you do a lot of sweet stuff, it'll make your cancer worse.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But cancer, another thing, they've got cures for some of this stuff. Because that cancer that Betty had, multiple myeloma,
Yeah.
several years, old Bill Riley had 2 doctors on his program.
Okay.
Said they had a cure for that cancer that she had.
Well, didn't you say that broke out on the outer layer of her back and it was eating away at her back?
No, that's where she took the radiation. It burned a hole in her back, make her back there. But anyhow, multiple myeloma, what it does, it eats up the bones. But these doctors said they had this cure for it. But you know what? Never heard no more about it. The doctors, they make a lot of money off of cancer.
Oh Lord, yeah. That's a $1 trillion industry.
pharmaceutical companies makes
Big
lots of money
Pharma,
off of it.
yeah.
The hospital makes lots of money off of it.
Well, they almost executed Elon Musk because he told everybody how to cure diabetes too, and they reared up about him giving out some secrets about how to control diabetes too. And I thought that was the whole primary objective of the medical industry, was wanting to better our lives. Is that not right?
Let me tell you about the disease. Back a long time ago, we had polio shots, typhoid shots, all that.
I got them.
We got cured. Now,
Immunized.
We don't have nothing like that for cure. They stopped it.
Well, they were saying on the news just this morning, Uncle Bill, some I don't know if it's measles, mumps, I don't know what it is, but they're saying that it's almost at the point of being an epidemic stage now in America. How can that be? I thought we eradicated that. I thought everybody got that immune shot and everybody immune that.
No, they get this stuff started now.
Where's it come from? Other countries? From a displaced animal or something?
They create. People are creating stuff here in this country.
Biological warfare? Chemical biological warfare?
The chickens.
Dr. Jekyll's and Mr. Hyde's.
They kill all the chickens down there. And that I called.
All right. Did you see the news where that wolf? They had a wolf, Uncle Bill.
What?
A wolf. A wolf. Did you see the news about the white wolf?
I didn't see it.
Some sort of wolf that lived 10,000 years ago in the dinosaur era, that some doctor wound up going into the marrow, the bone marrow, and wound up getting the DNA and wound up bringing that wolf back to life.
Oh, I ain't heard that.
Well, if they can do that, is it possible that they could bring dinosaurs and other prehistoric animals that's been dead for thousands of years?
I don't know.
They're doctors is playing God. That's what it is. They're playing God.
Yeah,
Stem cell research, I thought, was against the law in America.
that's what they think. They're smarter than God most of them.
And if you think it's bad here, go to other countries. They actually sell organs, and that's illegal over here. But they'll sell organs in other countries.
Well, you said it's illegal, but they do it.
You think so?
Well, yeah. It's done here. Everything's done here.
Just done in a secret way.
Well, yeah.
But see, they was talking about all that when young Bush was president, and he said the reason why that they should outlaw it is because rich people could actually create another human being using their DNA that would be identical to them. That way, if they ever needed a set of eyes, they could take it from the duplicate. If they ever needed a kidney or a heart or lungs or whatever, they could take it from the duplicate. You know, and that ain't right neither, is it?
No. What do they call this stuff? If they can make a man, what do they call that?
Sperm?
Huh?
Sperm?
No. They can take your DNA and make a man like you.
Yes.
Copy you, make it.
Yes.
Your
Duplicate. A duplicate.
Chrono. What is it called? Chrono or something?
I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking.
I don't see they done animals that way and done successful, and now I know they've done people.
Well, if they're doing it in America, they ain't supposed to be doing it.
But it's it.
Because of that very reason. Because if you have manufactured this person, and all of a sudden you need a heart, you need a liver, you need whatever kind of transplant, you're gonna kill that person that you created out of using your personal DNA just so that you can live. That ain't right.
No, that ain't right though.
That's playing God, man.
See, they're taking these kids and sexual changing them.
That ain't right neither. That ain't right. That's crazy.
That's bad. That's what the Democrats are pushing. They're doing it.
Harrison was doing that?
Huh?
Harrison was supporting that?
They were pushing it. The kids could do it without the mama and daddy say so. They just take them to do it. Change their sex.
Well, let me ask you something. What happens What happens whenever you do that to a 15 or 16, 17-year-old, and then all of a sudden about 5 years later they regret that they ever done that? They regret that they ever done that. And once you decide that you've already done that, it ain't like you can reverse it. You can't reverse it.
Them people probably not gonna live long. They're probably gonna live long to start with. They're messing up nature.
Sure they are.
God chose you to be a boy when you was born. He made that choice for you.
Well, did you hear President Clinton talking about the Oklahoma standard yesterday whenever he was making his speech?
I didn't.
He was talking about the 30th anniversary, and he kept bringing up the Oklahoma standard. Oklahoma standard. You're absolutely right. The doctors is taking things out of the standard. Things that used to be standard, that this is the way that it was supposed to have been, and now they're trying to change the order of what was considered standard. Changing a male into a female or a female into a male.
That ain't right.
It's playing God.
Playing God. Well, man thinks they're smarter than God now, anyhow. They got too smart. They think they're smarter.
You know, an atheist is supposed to be somebody that don't believe in God at all.
Yeah.
And an agnostic is somebody that's supposed to believe in partly God, but not really the true, righteous, holy God. I think that all these different religions, you can call them whatever that you want to call them. Muslims, you can call them Hinduism, you can call them Muslims, you can call them whatever. I think it's just a substitute for the real thing, because Christ said that unless you accept me, you will be as a thief and a robber, and you shall be denied. You have to actually apply your life towards the teachings of Jesus Christ. Did you know that? Not Buddha, not Allah, not some other crazy ideal, but Jesus Christ.
Well, the fellow makes his life what he is. Some people will say, well, he's born as a queer or homosexual. Well, you're not born that way. You make yourself that way. You make yourself an alcoholic. You make yourself a robber or a killer.
Those are choices that you make. And it's just a matter of how
God gives you that right that you can make a choice what you want to be.
And it's just a matter of a person's personal opinion or personal perspective of whether or not they're willing to go scrape the bottom of the barrel towards being a murderer or being a homosexual or being whatever. But if you hold good morals according to the compass, the northern compass that we have with Christ, you ain't gonna go down to the bottom of the barrel, are you?
No.
Matter of fact, you're gonna try to keep sin completely out of your life if you can, which I know it's impossible to keep all of it out because we're still of the flesh. But you ain't gonna deliberately go out here and want to kill somebody just to be killing them, are you? I don't even like to bring harm and hurt to an animal, do you? Unless I'm gonna eat it.
No.
Or a fish, unless I'm gonna eat it. I mean, I may do like Bill Dance and throw it back in the dang gum water, but more than likely, if I catch a fish, I'm gonna eat it. I may give it to somebody and let them eat it, but I'm gonna eat it. Same way with a deer, the same way with anything like that. If I kill it, I'm gonna eat it.
Yeah.
I ain't just killing it for it to die, just to bring pain and misery to that animal.
Yeah. Well.
Bible says to be good to dumb brew, don't it? Ain't you supposed to be good to dumb brew? Is this not dumb brew? This dog right here is supposed to be dumb brew, right? Anything, a jackass, a horse, a cow, they're supposed to be dumb brew, right?
Yeah. Well, we're in a strange world now.
Oh, this ain't it. We're in hell. We've created hell for ourselves right here.
It's a different world.
We're in hell. We in hell. The stuff that these kids believe in and teaching all this anti stuff. You know, I don't blame Donald Trump for wanting to take away the money from all these colleges and universities whenever they're in there teaching these kids to be basically anti-Christ, to stand up with Hamas versus standing up with Jerusalem. I don't blame him for wanting to take away their money. Do you?
No, that's what he needs to do.
Exactly.
Them all.
Exactly. Call the herd.
That Elon, he's in charge of a lot of this stuff. He's pretty smart.
Well, did you know that you don't see or hear a whole lot of his name for the past week or two? Ever since them people started assassinating all these dealerships and stuff, he was getting a bad rap in standing up with Trump, and because of it, I think they've kind of quieted him down. They've kind of put him back in the shadow somewhere where he's not really out there in the front no more.
Or Elon?
Yeah, Elon.
Yeah, he's out there.
He is.
Yeah.
Well, he was taking a lot of heat, man. When if you got people that's crazy, it's out here
Well, yeah,
attacking dealerships.
He's in charge of lots of stuff right now, investigating it.
Did you know that he ain't even from here?
Huh?
He's not even an American by birth.
Nah.
He is an
Yeah, he's
African.
American.
No, he is now by title by becoming American. But he originally by birth he come from Africa. He done his schooling up in Canada. He's a very smart whiz.
Yeah.
I don't know what his IQ is, but he's smart.
Yeah.
But that don't matter. That don't matter. I mean, as long as you're an immigrant and you come over here legally and you file the proper paperwork, I don't have a problem in him coming over here. Do you?
No. If in here legally and does it right, why?
I don't have a problem in that.
And he's got a citizen.
And they're over here to better our community and better our society. I don't have a problem in that. But now just to come over here and to wreak havoc upon the society, or to come over here and kill, steal, and to rape, and to be an outlaw, I don't agree with that. I don't want them over here doing that. Do you?
No. Well, we got some weird old people over. They're thinking.
They've been indoctrinated. They have been brainwashed, Uncle
I gotta
Bill.
get in there and get me something to eat.
They've been indoctrinated.
Huh?
They've been indoctrinated.
Yeah.
Brainwashed. Brainwashed.
I gotta get me something to eat.
Well, listen. I'm glad I got to see you on Easter Sunday. I just
Yeah.
want to come by here and wish
You
you a
take care
happy,
of the dogs here.
wish you a happy Easter. I will.
Easter's running gone.
Yep. This morning, the tomb was empty, wasn't it?
Yeah. Did you go to church today?
I did not go to church today because I'm not welcome in none of them churches down there, Uncle Bill. They all abandoned me from the churches. I'm an outcast.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm an outcast, Uncle Bill, because they didn't want to support me, and I guess they must have thought that I was.
Did you listen to it on TV?
Uncle Bill, I pray and read the Bible continuously.
Say what?
I pray and read the Bible continuously.
Yeah. Well, you need to start voting. That's one of your responsibilities, and God holds
I
you.
didn't vote this time. I wasn't going to participate in this type of.
But that God.
It's a scandal. It's a scandal. You hear me? It's a scandal. It's a scandal. It's a scandal.
That's one of your responsibilities is voting, and God's going to hold you responsible for that.
You think so?
I know so.
Where does it say in the Bible we're supposed to be a good?
Well, he holds you responsible for what your actions is. If you kill somebody, you're responsible for it.
That's right. Well, you didn't go to church this morning, I'm sure, did you?
But you need to vote. That's not really all that important, but you do need to vote.
Well, if you put you a good party in there, somebody that I could trust in, I would vote him.
Well, Donald Trump's a fellow to trust. You ought to vote for him. But he got in there big time anyhow.
He got the minority vote this time, didn't he?
He
got the minority vote.
He got the electoral votes and the popular votes both.
And I was surprised about that in a way, wasn't you?
Well,
Wasn't you surprised in a way?
no, I knew he was going to win it. God's had a hand on him.
Well, that's true.
He's been protected because he's had several attempts on his life, and he ain't been successful. When you get shot, ear shot, that's close. A bullet come that close to you, nick your ear, head, that's close.
That's close.
He happened to move his head just right that day. God made his head move.
Uh-huh.
And
I
he
agree.
knows it too.
I agree. His life was spared for a reason. His life was spared. And a lot of that stuff that he's doing, I agree with it. It needs to be done. Actually, it never should have gotten out of hand this way. It never should have went this far towards being out of hand.
Donald Trump is not a politician. He's a businessman. He knows how to run a business. He knows how to handle a business, and he knows how to talk to people and get stuff done.
He's a deal maker. He's a deal maker. He makes deals. He's a good negotiator.
He just knows business. He knows what's good for business. And all of our stuff is being built in other countries. We need to build the stuff in our own country.
Absolutely, I agree.
I like American-made stuff.
Well, you know, this cheap stuff that we buy today, it don't last.
No.
You buy a daggum shirt and wash it 2 or 3 times, it look like you've had it.
Cheap. The clothes that you buy now is just paper thin.
It looks like you've lived in it.
I told her to pick up me some T-shirts. None of the T-shirts are the same size. They're all in a package the same size, and all of them are different sizes. Some a little bit bigger, some a little bit tighter, some is a little longer.
Probably made in a sweatshop somewhere down in who knows where by a bunch of little 12 and 13-year-old girls that's doing it.
Made in China. Everything's made in China we get here.
Well, there's a lot of it, ain't.
And Trump's stopping it. He's trying to get American stuff made.
But the stuff that we buy now is just cheap. Plastic. I guarantee
you pay high dollar for it, and it's cheap.
These automobiles that you get out here and have a wreck, my God, it's almost like a bomb blows up. Freaking bumpers go to flying off, headlights go to flying up, everything freaking just...
The automobiles are better than they used to be, because used to, a car had 30,000 miles on it, and now the kids growing up, the old 30s and 40s, they was wore out.
Yeah.
The motors had to get them overhauled. Now, you can drive 200,000 and 300,000 miles.
Yeah, you can. That vehicle right there's got 249,000 miles on it.
River's got an old Suburban. He's got 300-something thousand on it.
How are they doing? How's Reba doing? How's your family doing, Uncle Bill?
But
Uncle Bill.
Better. The airplanes are better than they used to be.
Technology has caught up.
They're cheapening the good stuff up. They're cheapening it up.
Well, you know what a lot of that is? It's like if you buy a Mercedes-Benz, the bearing is the same. The wheel bearing is the same as any other wheel bearing, right?
It's a wheel bearing.
But the material that the wheel bearing's made out of is the reason why that wheel bearing will go for 400,000 or 500,000 miles, to where if you buy a cheap vehicle, that material in that wheel bearing ain't gonna last that long, because it's the type of material that it's made out of.
Yeah. Well, wheel bearings, you don't have much trouble out of wheel bearings.
Depends on what kind of road you live on. All these freaking potholes you got.
Back a long time ago, we had trouble with wheel bearings in cars.
Absolutely.
Man, we had to take them down and repack them pretty often.
Absolutely.
But cars are a lot better than they used to be. They ride better.
In one sense, I agree. Let's get back to cancer real quick. To me, cancer is just like rust on metal. As long as you can keep that metal clean or seal that metal with something and it never starts rusting, that piece of metal will last probably indefinitely, like a piece of plastic. But if it ever gets a spot on it to the point that it starts rusting, it'll spread and spread and spread. Next thing you know, the whole metal would just rust away. Kind of like a bumper, old bumper or something, it'll rust away. So to me, cancer is like rust.
Well, your body is what you put into it to start with. This fast food stuff is not good. It's what you put into your body. That's what makes your body.
I see.
You start putting a lot of old junk in your body. When your body's going to give away.
Well, how about all the drugs and stuff that people put in their body?
Oh, the drugs is back terrible.
You don't think that causes people to die of these early deaths?
Well, yeah, drugs. I don't take medicine. Very, very seldom when I take anything.
Just your eye medicine.
Huh?
Your eye medicine.
My eyes is the only thing that I've got trouble with. I'm going blind.
Well, you can see me. I'm as big as a
I can
whale.
see. But this outside, this light, I need sunshades on when I get outside.
When's the last time Laurie or Reba was up here?
Oh, about a week or two ago.
They still watching at you?
Oh yeah. Laura's coming next Sunday to buy my groceries.
Boy, I imagine that bill's went up, hasn't it?
Huh?
I imagine that bill has went up by, what, $20 a week?
Huh. I used to buy 2 weeks of groceries for $80. 2 weeks of groceries now is $200 something.
It's a big difference. And these,
Everything doubled and tripled and 4 times and 5 times as much.
I can't believe it. People in Chicago paying $5 for cheap loaf of bread.
Well, it's almost that here. It was at $4 at one time loaf of bread. It's come down to 3 something now.
You know, there was a twins up there in Cydonia by the name of Harry Herman. And I remember when we first moved down to Tennessee, I was probably about 8 years old. It was in the wintertime. And they was spitting in this spit tomb. And, of course, back then, you know, they have crackers and stuff inside this container. And it was an honor system where you just paid, you know, if it's 35 cents, you put 35 cents in there. And if you need change, you put $1 in there and get back 65 cents or whatever. But they was talking and telling people that one day a loaf of bread was going to go for $10 a loaf. And at the time, I think loaf of bread at that time was like 26 cents a loaf or something like that. And I laughed at them people, Uncle Bill. And you know, I ain't never forgot that because I was the one that was the fool, you know, by laughing at them people, because one day a loaf of bread is liable to wind up costing $10 a loaf in America.
Well,
it could.
The bread that I've been using was $4 a loaf. It's under $4 now. It's Nature's Own Bread is what it was. Butter bread, Nature's Own Bread.
Yeah.
And the loaves used to be about that long. They're about that long. Now you put them down in my toaster and you can't even see them down in there. They're so small. They've cut them.
Well, they've improvised, Uncle Bill. They've improvised. That's the way that these businesses are making money. These factories are making money.
They went up on it.
They downsized everything.
They went up on it, and they cut the quality down too. Won't be long. You go in and you get a paper sack and won't be nothing in it.
Well, you may think this is crazy, but I went to a restaurant in Dyersburg, got good food. They got a good bar, and whenever I got ready to leave, I wanted a doggy bag. They said, well, you can walk out with a doggy bag pertaining to the scraps on the table, but if you do, they're going to charge you for it. They'll weigh the scraps at the cash register, and you got to pay X amount of dollars for the scraps.
Well,
I said, you got to be kidding me. She said, no. She said, no. It's getting to the point that you can have ice cream, and if you want to put a little chocolate dippies on it or candy flavor on it, they'll charge extra for the ice cream now.
Yeah.
What's wrong with them? They're wanting to jab the public.
It's money.
They're wanting to take it out on the consumer, though. Me and you are the consumer.
It's money. It's all about money now. Everybody's gotten greedy.
Truck like that right there, Dooley, Dodge, 4-door. You're probably looking at $100,000 for a truck like that.
I ain't gonna tell you what it is.
Didn't you tell me that?
The Dooley trucks are about $70,000 to $100,000.
Didn't you tell me that Reba's husband bought a brand new truck? About a year or so ago? And how much did it cost?
About $72,000 for a Dodge Dooley. Now Chris bought one, and it's got a lot of stuff on this. I think it's about 90-something thousand.
How does people buy something like that and finance it for 10 years and pay interest on it for 10 years? After you get through paying for the thing you've done already wore it out, number one. Number two, instead of paying $90,000, you paid more like $150,000.
Everything, $100,000
Ain't nothing no
is not
more.
any money no more. It don't buy nothing.
It's awful, Uncle Bill.
It just don't buy stuff no more.
Aren't you glad you kind of slowed down? Now you settled down. You ain't out there having to knock around and chase the cheese.
Yeah,
You no longer have to chase the cheese like you used to.
yeah.
But you also get stuck for not having the cheese too when you're on a fixed income, right?
I gotta go eat.
All right. Good talking to you.
Okay.
I'm gonna let you go.